You might have seen this guy before. He's the U.S. Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism, Yehuda Caplun, and his role was, recently created. And after he's been installed into this role, his job objectives have very quickly become making sure the world doesn't stop supporting Israel. I genuinely, this seems like what this man's exclusive role is. Before I talk any further, it's going to be a great time now to show my disclaimer. This is not intended to promote hate towards any group of people, but I'm going to have an honest conversation about you guys where anti-Semitism, his role is being used as a cover to shield criticism of Israel. This is exclusively what's going on now. As a Palestinian, I should be allowed to talk about this when ultimately my family is kind of being affected by the policies this psychopath is trying to push. So let's get right into it. Here's the guy. I showed you some of this clip before, but look where he was recently. He was in Saudi Arabia. Why is he in Saudi Arabia? Why is he talking to Saudi officials? Saudi foreign minister met with Israeli-American Lubavitch rabbi and U.S. Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, Mr. Yehuda Caplun. Who is he? Well, he met at the security conference in 2026 with the foreign affairs minister Faisal bin Farhan. And, there he is. And here's the thing. He is meeting with world leaders left and right. And my issue with it is he brags. He's bragging. He gloats about the fact that his policies that he's pushing for have led to the elimination of the BDS movement in certain countries. He's bragged about BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel, which is a movement that was very, very effective, basically sanctioning Israel, countries stop engaging with Israel to weaken their economy, to ultimately force Israel to make concessions. That's the whole point of BDS. Netanyahu said himself back in 2019, not too long ago, he said that if the world sanctioned Israel, Israel would have no choice but to capitulate and pull out of the territories that it occupied in 1967. Netanyahu said this himself back in 2019. It's only been 7 years. If the world sanctioned Israel today and told Israel, we will cripple your economy until you pull out of the West Bank, they would have no choice but to do it. Israel knows this very, very well, which is why the BDS movement is something Israel is terrified of, and it makes it illegal to criticize Israel in certain countries, so that way the BDS movement can never pass. Now, Ireland was pushing BDS movement, and Yehuda Caplun then goes ahead and makes this statement, and he said he enjoyed watching Ireland pull the BDS legislation. So take a listen to here.
That, since I've been in this role, has been really something that I would say I've enjoyed being able to do, is the quiet effectiveness of affecting change with certain governments and certain policies.
Quiet effectiveness of change in certain governments, certain policies.
Armenia has identified the willingness, signed a letter that they're going to join IRA.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I've explained to you guys IRA before.
Together with Ambassador Bill White, the government of Belgium has restored their funding for security for the Jewish day schools and Jewish synagogues. The BDS language in Ireland has been pulled through the efforts of Mike Huckabee, myself, the secretary, the president, and others.
There you go. He just said it. The BDS movement in Ireland has been pulled thanks to efforts by myself, Mike Huckabee, the traitor to America, the president, and others. He said it outwardly. That's what's going on. The BDS movement was passing in Ireland, was making great strides until there was massive amount of threats from the United States and U.S. officials, Lindsey Graham, Tom Cotton, Richie Torres, Mike Lawler, one after another on social media on X, threatening Ireland. Mike Huckabee called the Irish a bunch of drunks. He called them a bunch of drunks for considering to sanction or to make it illegal to engage in financial transactions with illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. He said that they're a bunch of drunks. And Yehuda Caplun was very much so behind that, making sure that it wouldn't pass. This guy's role shouldn't exist. Here's another thing. There is the U.S. Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism. if it was really exclusively focused on combating anti-Semitism, why can't we put an anti-Zionist Jewish person in these roles? Why does it have to be a Zionist, which is a political ideology? Why does it have to be a Zionist in these roles? Same thing with the TikTok hate speech manager. Why does the TikTok hate speech manager to combat anti-Semitism have to be a Zionist? Why can't they be an anti-Zionist Jewish person? We never talk about this enough. Think about Instagram at Meta. Every single one of these people are Zionists. Why can't they be anti-Zionist Jewish people? If it really comes down to stopping hate towards your community, why can't they be Zionists? Why can't they be anti-Zionist? Why do they have to be affiliated with a specific political ideology, which is what Zionism is? They don't. The reason they're installed in those positions is because what they're actually trying to do is shut down criticism of Israel. And it's so obvious at this point, but for some reason, for very obvious reasons of them having a lot of influence, they're able to get away with it. And I haven't seen, this is the thing though, and the reason I wanted to make sure I tell you guys and really hammer it in here is because I don't know about you guys, I personally haven't seen a campaign to install anti-Zionist Jewish people in these positions. What I have seen is people call things out. People are resharing that video of the lady that works as the hate speech manager of Meta, stating that she shuts down and they remove posts that talk about undue power among Zionists. Excuse me. But I think it would be actually a very effective campaign if a lot of us got together and we started pushing a campaign for more anti-Zionist Jewish representation in these positions. Because what it would actually ultimately do is it would make these people in these positions that are trying to fill these positions, they couldn't use the scapegoat of, oh, you're being anti-Semitic, because we're going to say, no, it has nothing to do with being anti-Semitic. We actually do want that position, and we do want to have a Jewish person in that position. Just make sure they're anti-Zionists. They wouldn't be able to use the same scapegoat. Versus if we said that position shouldn't be there, somebody needs to remove that position entirely, well, then they can go ahead and say, oh, well, you guys are just being anti-Semitic. But if we just tell them, no, keep the position, go for it, why don't you put an anti-Zionist Jew instead? I would be interested to at least hear the response. Right now, in TikTok, the new hate speech manager, the Jerusalem Post headline stated they're a, quote, loud and proud Zionists. Put an anti-Zionist Jewish person in that position. And there should be a campaign to do so. And I'd be right behind it, really pushing it. But it really hasn't been done yet. I think it can be. I think we need to kind of coordinate our messaging a little bit to make sure that that's effectively put out there. Here's the thing with the U.S. Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism, there is no U.S. Special Envoy to combat racism, no U.S. Special Envoy to combat misogyny, no U.S. Special Envoy to combat Christian hate, no U.S. Special Envoy to combat Islamophobia, but there is a U.S. Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism. Why? Why? And why does that person's role have a lot to do with stopping criticism of Israel? That's my question. Why don't they at least just why don't they at least just have the courage to make it U.S. Special Envoy to combat anti-Israel hatred or to combat anti-Israel sentiment? At least then people would believe it. At this point, just stop pretending. Just stop pretending that it's anything else aside from shielding Israel from criticism. It's embarrassing for you guys. It's really embarrassing when you guys are using it as a scapegoat that everybody can see right through. So that's really it for this video, guys. If you found it interesting, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. And I also, again, want to show my, my disclaimer one more time. Really not intended to promote hate or harassment. Again, just genuinely having a conversation about some honest stuff going on here. Otherwise, also, please join as a member. It's only like $5 a month. It helps my channel out, helps me do this as a full-time job. If you join as a gold member, which is the highest tier, you can also start recommending me video ideas because I always need video ideas. So if you guys do that and join as a gold member, you can recommend me video ideas too. And I'll actually use them and make videos based on them. So otherwise, I will see you guys later in the next video. Take care and have a great day.